Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Tuesday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at all of the impacts from the bomb cyclone that you can see is rapidly developing off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. We're going to take a look at the four main impacts, which will be wind, waves, snow, and rain. So we're going to take a look at all of that here through the video today. Let's start here with the satellite. You can see this storm is rapidly developing. It's currently at around 981 millibars. It's going to deepen to 943 millibars over the next 12 hours or so, which is a huge increase, especially in this area of the Pacific Ocean. This will be one of the strongest storms ever recorded in this area of the Pacific Ocean, and it should look beautiful on the satellite imagery later today. You can see just how it's rapidly developing right now with that dry slot of air moving in on the south side of this storm. So let's take a look at what we can expect here. You can see the European model shows the storm increasing rapidly today. You can see it likely bottoming out around 943 millibars this evening, casting that strong pressure gradient across the Cascades. And then you can see the storm starts to move off to the north and weaken rapidly on Wednesday before diminishing as it moves up closer toward Haida Gwaii by early Thursday. Now, the next thing to watch is what the European model shows here. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but when we have these big cyclones offshore, they typically spin up something on the south side, and sometimes those can ride right up along the coast and bring a strong windstorm to western Washington. So right now, take a look. This is the Euro at 10 a.m. Thursday, and you can see as we go through the day, Thursday into Friday, this secondary low develops as the bomb cyclone weakens and diminishes off to its west. You can see this low gets pretty strong, 972 millibars, and parallels the Washington coast and moves into central Vancouver Island. The Euro has been kind of waffling between this track and a track closer toward the Olympic Peninsula. That would bring much stronger winds to the entirety of western Washington. This would mainly be a coastal event, but still it's very much worth watching as that is a notable low-pressure center to be moving into the area, and we'll be watching this secondary storm closely over the next couple of days. So again, I've been talking about this a lot the last couple days, but this is the European model. We're looking at pressure on about 7 p.m. tonight, and you can see with the low pressure offshore, higher pressure over eastern Washington and the Great Plains out back to the east there. This casts a strong pressure gradient across the Cascades. You can see that gradient is over 14 millibars between Seattle and Wenatchee, and that is the indicator of a strong gap wind event. And this has been consistent over the last few days, and we are likely to experience some impacts with this storm. So let's take a look at the European model, looking at maximum wind gust here. I have this set at 10 a.m. You can see these offshore winds will be starting to increase over parts of the Strait and Admiralty Inlet there. But as we go to about 4 p.m., by the time we get to 4 p.m., places like North Bend and Enumclaw could be already gusting to 50 miles per hour, as well as areas along US 2 in Snohomish County and some places along the Strait and the coast. And by the time we're at 4 p.m. there, these strong winds gusting 35 plus miles per hour are just starting to nose into SeaTac and Renton, Kent and Covington, and areas out there like Issaquah, Hobart will all likely be hitting 40 miles per hour by 4 p.m. And then you can see the peak winds do occur between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. there, with gusts basically from Tacoma northward in the Puget Sound lowlands all the way up toward Bellingham hitting 40 plus miles per hour. You can see an area of notable concern is eastern King County there, and any area here in this strong current of gap winds coming out of the Stampede Gap there. Places basically from Federal Way northward to Seattle and Bellevue and Bothell and Kirkland could be hitting 45 plus miles per hour. And areas like SeaTac, Renton, Kent, Covington, and then your foothill towns like Black Diamond, Ravensdale, Enumclaw, North Bend could all be gusting 55 to 60 miles per hour. So, and even the city of Bellevue could likely be gusting 50 plus. So a lot of power outages and tree damage are expected in King County. And you can also see a secondary gap along US 12 in Lewis County that could bring some more gusts up to 60 miles per hour for some more rural areas, and then up to 40 or so for Chehalis. You can see gusts of 40 to 50 for some areas of Snohomish County that are not used to these gap winds, so that is something to take note of as well. There will likely be a lot of power outages in Snohomish County. And then you can see along the Strait out toward Neah Bay, there are gusts 60 plus miles per hour and 50 plus on the coast. And these another thing to notice here, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is that these winds over the passes are going to be very strong, gusting 50 plus at White Pass, 60 plus at Snoqualmie Pass, and 50 miles an hour or so at Stevens Pass. And for this reason, although there's not too much snow expected, the National Weather Service has issued a rare blizzard warning for the Cascades because of how these winds could cause whiteout conditions. So we'll talk about that in a moment here. This is the NAM model. I played this all the way through this evening. And you can see it shows a higher end scenario with much more widespread gusts of 50 plus miles an hour, basically from Kent all the way to Bellingham, with areas like Federal Way and Tacoma and Olympia all hitting 45 miles per hour or so. This is more of an unlikely scenario because this is likely on the higher end. The European model that we just looked at seems to be most likely for this storm, but that will still cause a lot of impacts. So don't discount this scenario we're looking at here entirely, with gusts of 60 to 65 on the coast and along the strait there, and 55 plus for parts of the northwest interior. It's not completely unlikely, but it is on the lower likelihood of this exact scenario playing out. Now, the next thing we're going to take a look at with this storm is the massive waves that it's going to generate. As you can see, the storm develops here and creates these massive waves. Anything in this magenta color is 45 plus foot maximum waves. That doesn't mean all the waves are that height. It means that the highest waves are this height. So as you can see, as we go into early Wednesday morning there, by around 10 a.m. Wednesday, you have breakers potentially 30 plus feet reaching the coast, with maximum waves along the Washington and Oregon coast of 40 plus feet. So it'll be amazing to watch, that's for sure, but it will also be dangerous, so be sure to take every precaution you can if you're watching these waves on Wednesday, and even into Thursday. There will still be some large waves as well before that diminishes by the time we get to midday Thursday into Friday there. Now we're looking at the National Blend of Models high-resolution forecast for snow through Wednesday. You can see Snoqualmie, Stevens, and Snoqualmie and Stevens passes getting only about 4 to 8 inches there. Stevens Pass may be getting up toward a foot or so, just like White Pass. So White Pass, Stevens Pass, those will be very, very dangerous this evening with the strong winds gusting 50 plus miles per hour. And even Snoqualmie Pass, with a lesser amount of snow, only about 4 to 5 inches, that will also be very dangerous because the winds at Snoqualmie Pass will be stronger than at Stevens and White Pass. And for that reason, these snow amounts here and the combination with those 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, that's why there is a blizzard warning in effect. And also, just taking a look at the rain totals, you can see the coast through Wednesday likely gets 1 to 1.5 inches. Areas from Everett to about Mount Vernon get 3/4 of an inch, or up to 3/4 of an inch, or especially near Whidbey Island. And then you can see places from Mount Vernon northward and then from Everett to Olympia don't get as much rain because of the winds here. You can especially notice this in King County and parts of Pierce County, as you basically have a reverse rain shadow with these winds blowing out of the gaps. They dry out the air, and places like SeaTac, Federal Way, Renton, Kent, Tacoma as well. All these areas will get under 1/4 inch of rain because the rain is essentially being dried out by the gap winds. And then you can see areas along I-5 from Olympia southward likely getting up to 3/4 to an inch of rain through Wednesday. So now let's take a look here. Very colorful alert map from National Weather Service Seattle this morning. Also take a look at this. This red off the southern Washington coast is a hurricane force wind warning, which basically means gusts of 75 miles per hour or greater are expected off the coast, which is just deadly if you're driving a boat out there. All this purple is a storm warning, which means gusts, I believe, of 46 knots or above, so that's quite significant. And gale warnings for all of the inland waters as well. That is significant too. This bright red here is the blizzard warning for the Cascades from Lewis County all the way to the Canadian border. And then you can see this brown here on the coast, and in the East Puget Sound lowlands and Bellevue area is a high wind warning, and then this light brown is the wind advisory for the rest of the area. So taking a look at that in a little bit more detail here, you can see the more vibrant brown here is the high wind warning for the East Lowlands and the Bellevue area and for the coast, and then this light brown here is the wind advisory. And if we zoom into the lowlands here, I just wanted to point this out, you can see that the National Weather Service has included the Bellevue area, including Bellevue, Kirkland, Bothell, those areas in the high wind warning for gusts up to 65 miles per hour. That's possible, but I would expect it to be more 50 or so in that area. And then all this tan is the wind advisory. So now taking a look at the alerts for winter. You can see winter weather advisories for the Olympics and the Southern Cascades, and then these blizzard warnings in effect from Lewis County all the way to the Canadian border on both sides of the mountains, and then a winter storm warning for parts of eastern Washington and the North Cascades as well. This blizzard warning is rare. There has not been very many blizzard warnings in the last decade here issued by the National Weather Service in Seattle, but there has been 2 just in 2024 alone, this one and one back in January, so that's quite significant. So with all of this happening and with the potential for power outages, tree damage, and a lot of kind of things going on pretty quickly, this is a good time for me to promote my social media. Obviously, you're watching on YouTube right now. You can go join my Western Washington Weather Facebook group. We're over almost 600 members on there now. You can follow me on X and Blue Sky there. Both Blue Sky, I'm growing in followers rapidly, and that's a great place to go over and follow me. I'll put a link to all of these places in the description below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and share these videos. That's the best way to help Western Washington Weather grow. I've seen a lot of new subscribers in the past couple days, and that is great. So be sure to remember to stay safe tonight, be prepared for power outages, make sure you have all the things you need in case your power could be out for a couple days in some locations, especially parts of King County near the foothills. And stay tuned to all my social media today. I'll be putting out a lot of updates, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.